Hi, welcome to the Gemara al Chav Tzedem Aleph. We're starting at the bottom of the Amud, right after the Mishnah. Tnan Hatam, we learn in the Mishnah there, Be'achad Ba'adar Mashmi'in al Hashkalim. On the first day of Adar, we announce about Shkalim. Rashi says Mashmi'in al Hashkalim B'achrasat Beit Din. We have the Beit Din announce it, so we announce the need for the donation of the half shekel to the Beit HaMikdash, Ve'al HaKilayim. And we also make an announcement about Kilayim, about the need to check for anything that's planted in the wrong place. If you have grains or seeds planted in a vineyard, for example, that's kilayim, and that has to be uprooted. Bishlama al kilayim, so it makes sense that we announce about the kilayim, disman zriyahi, because this is the time of planting. Actually, the Rishonim say it's not the time of planting, fall is the time of planting, spring is actually the time when things start growing, and that's why it's a good time to be able to see if you've got inappropriate things growing together, but anyway. Ella al hashkalim minalan. However, about shkalim, from where do we get this, right? How do we know that this would be a good time to announce that you have to pay your shekel, your half shekel donation? Amar of Tavi, Amar of Yoshia. So in the name of Yoshia, de Amar Kra, because the pasuk says, Zot alat chodesh b'chodesho. This is the sacrifice for the new month in its renewal, or in its renewing, or something like that. So it seems that the drasha here is going to respond to the fact that chodesh b'chodesho, it's like a little bit repetitive. Amra Torah, the Torah is saying, chadesh v'haveh korban mitruma chadasha. Renew and bring korbanot from a new donation. It's like you're going to need a new set of donations to use to buy the korbanot henceforth. V'kevan de b'nisan ba'yakruve mitruma chadasha. And since it is in Nisan that you're going to need to start bringing the offerings from new donations. In Nisan, the start of the year, you can no longer use the old collection of half shekels to buy the sacrifices. Now you need to switch to new donations. So since that starts in Nisan, kadminan v'karinan be'achad ba'adar. We literally push it earlier and we read on the first of Adar. Ki hechi deletu shkalim lemikdash. So that they can bring, letu is to bring, shkalim to the mikdash. So Rashi says, like people who are sort of dragging their feet, who haven't done it yet, will be like, oh, now I really have to do it, like it's getting close. So they'll bring the money already in Adar, so that it'll be ready for Nisan. Kiman, whose opinion is this according to? Who thinks this way? Delo kiraban Shimon ben Gamliel. Oops, I really meant to do it, to highlight it. So this is not the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. To Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, ha'amar shtei shabbatot, because if it were Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, he would have said 2 weeks, not a month. He generally believes that you should prepare 2 weeks in advance for things. D'Tanya, as we learn in a Braita, shoalim b'hachot ha'pesach kodem ha'pesach 30 yom. We investigate, we ask about the laws of Pesach 30 days in advance of Pesach. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer Shtei Shabbatot. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says no, only 2 weeks beforehand. That's how much time you need to prepare. So presumably in the case of collecting the shkalim also, he would say, oh, you only need to make the announcement 2 weeks before you want people to bring the shkalim. Now the Gemara says this might not really be true. Afilo Tamer Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. You can even say that the idea of announcing on the first of Adar accords with the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Kevan to Amar Mar, since the master said, in this case it's the Mishnah, B'chamisha asar bo shulchanot yoshvin b'medina. On the 15th of the month of Adar, the money changers would sit down in the nation, because when you're going to bring a half shekel, you might not have a half shekel on hand, and you'll need to bring your money to a money changer to get the half shekel. Uvechav hey yoshvin b'mikdash, and on the 25th of the month, they would sit down in the mikdash itself. Actually, well, the Gemara is going to explain. Mishum shulchanot kadminan v'karinan. Because of the shulchanot, because of the money changers, we move it earlier and declare it. So in other words, this first of Adar declaration is actually 2 weeks, about 2 weeks before the money changers are going to be ready for you, and so it actually is 2 weeks in advance. You know, you could view it as being actually 2 weeks in advance of the event if you think the event is starting to change the money. So this actually could work also according to the opinion of Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Okay, now the Gemara has a new question. My Parshat Shkalim. What is Parshat Shkalim? 2 options. Rav Amar, Tzav b'nei Yisrael v'amarta lehem et korbani lachmi. So one option is this pasuk from Bamidbar, command b'nei Yisrael and have them bring me my offering, my food. This is a section that we've discussed before because it's included in the normal Rosh Chodesh reading. And so it would be a section of that reading. Ushmuel Amar, and Shmuel says Kitisa, that we read from Parshat Kitisa. Bishlam Elaman Damar Kitisa. It makes sense according to the one who says Kitisa, meaning Shmuel's position makes sense. Hayu Zakari la Parshat Shkalim, because that's why they call it Parshat Shkalim. Dichtiv ba Shkalim, because it is written in it Shkalim, meaning actually that's what the parsha is all about, and so it makes sense that that would be that parsha. Elaman Amar Karbani Lachmi, but for the one who says Karbani Lachmi is the section that we read from Parshat Shkalim, meaning Rav. Hacha midi Shkalim Ktivei Hatam? Are there Shkalim written about there? Like, what? Why would you ever think that that was the right section? But the Gemara says, in Tamamai, what's the reason? Kidder Rabbi Tabi, like the opinion of Rabbi Tabi, which we saw above, over here, right? That Zot Olah Chodesh B'Chodsho, that when we talk about bringing the new korbanot for Nisan, we're going to need new money to do that. So actually, there is a link in Ed Karbani Lachmi. There is a link to Shkalim if you hold like the opinion of Rabbi Tabi. So actually, we're still kind of a draw. It seems like both positions are possible. Bishlam Elaman Amar Tzaveh B'nei Yisrael. So now we're going to look at it the other way. Makes sense according to the one who says that we read Tzaveh B'nei Yisrael. In other words, Rav's position makes sense. Mishum Dichtive Korbanot, because it's written there about Dichtive Korbanot Hatam, because there it's written about korbanot, meaning the need to bring korbanot is written there. Kidder Rabbi Tabi, like Rabbi Tabi said, right? So in other words, it makes sense, right? The mitzvah to give the half shekel is linked to korbanot, and korbanot are written about in Tzav. El Mandamar Kitisa korbanot miktive. But according to the one who says Kitisa, meaning if you want to hold Shmuel's opinion, are there any korbanot written there, right? Like this, that seems like not a good choice because it's not about korbanot. Shkalim la'adanim ktive. Rather, it's about the shkalim that are given for the sockets. The sockets or the bases that were used for the mikdash, a very important part. It's like the walls of the Mishkan. It's how it was carried around, but it seems like that's what the shekels that are mentioned there are raised for, and not for the korbanot. So maybe actually, kitisa is not such a good choice. Kedetani Rav Yosef, as Rav Yosef taught. So now we're going to defend Shmuel's position. We're going to defend the idea that maybe kitisa is actually about the right shkalim. Shalosh trumothen. There were 3 givings, 3 donations. Shal mizbeach, a mizbeach, for like donations for the mizbeach that went to build the mizbeach. B'shal adanim la'adanim, and donations for the sockets that or the base that went to build the base. B'shal bedek habayit lebedek habayit. And then donations for the for bedek habayit, for the maintenance of the Beit HaMikdash, for the maintenance of the Beit HaMikdash. So, in other words, there actually is a reference in Kitisa to the right kind of shekel donation, the kind of shekel donation that goes to temple upkeep and sacrifices. So we're sort of back to a draw. We see now why Kitisa is also a good choice. Bishlam Elaman Darmar Kitisa. Okay, so now we're switching sides again. It makes sense according to the one who says Kitisa, meaning, yeah, Shmuel's position makes sense. Hainu Deshane Hai Rosh Chodesh Mishar Rosh Chodeshim, because that's what makes this Rosh Chodesh different from all other Rosh Chodesh, right? Like, why would you need a special mission to tell you that you read Tzavet Karbani Lachmi on Rosh Chodesh? That's always what we need for Rosh Chodesh. So, like, why would you need to be taught that? Elaman Amar Tzavet Karbani Maishani. But for the one who says that what you read for Parshat Shkalim is the Karbani Lachmi, what's the difference, right? Why would you need to specially be told that? Then how is this different from any other Shabbat Rosh Chodesh? Shani, the Gemara says, nope, it is different. Di'ilu Roshei Chodeshim karoshita b'inyan diyoma v'chad b'dirosh chodesh v'ilu ha'idna kulhu b'dirosh chodesh. No, it would still be different, even if you said that it's the same reading. On other Shabbatot that are Rosh Chodesh, you'd have 6 people called up to read the normal Torah portion, and then 1 for Rosh Chodesh. But now, in this case, Ha'idna is now, all the reading would be the reading of Rosh Chodesh, because the entire Shabbat reading, the idea is here, the entire Shabbat reading would be replaced by the Rosh Chodesh reading, and that's what it would mean to read Parshat Shkalim. So, actually, you could say that it wouldn't be, it would still be different enough, and so we've defended that position also. Yeah, but that explanation only makes sense according to the one who says that you're returning to Seder Parshiot, meaning that after reading the Arba Parshiot, after reading those 4 special Parshiot, you go back to reading the regular Parshiot in the Torah. But for the one who says that what happens after you finish the Arba Parshiot is that you go back to the order of Haftarot, meaning this is not, doesn't seem like what it says in our Mishnah, but it's apparently a different version or a different idea that the Gemara knows about. Uparshata diyoma karinan ma'ishani, and we still read the regular reading of the day, ma'ishani. Then what's the difference? In other words, the explanation that we had here. Wait, I'm going to highlight it. This explanation about how, if you read Sava Korbani Lachmi, how Shabbat Rosh Chodesh Adar would be different from all other Rosh Chodesh is to say, well, on other Rosh Chodesh, the Rosh Chodesh reading is just the maftir, whereas here it would be the entire Torah reading. And then the Gemara is like, no, but that's only if you really think that Parshat Shkalim supersedes the entire Torah reading, which apparently some people did think that. But if you think that the only thing that kind of gets changed when you read Parshat Shkalim is the maftir, is the additional reading, then they wouldn't really be different, right? It wouldn't be different from any other. It wouldn't be different from any other Rosh Chodesh because it's still the case that you're only replacing the maftir. So that's a problem. So we want to explain. In other words, we want to explain the position that you might read that Shkalim might actually be Sav at Korbani Lachmi. We want to explain that according to the position that says that it's only maftir that gets disrupted when you go into Arba Parshiot mode. So the Gemara now does that. Shani di'ilu Roshei Chodeshim. Oh, sorry. No, I skipped. So the difference is Shani di'ilu Roshei Chodeshim karo shita b'inyana diyoma, v'chad kari b'derosh chodesh, v'ilu ha'idna karo tzata b'inyana diyoma, v'arba karo b'derosh chodesh. So the difference is that on a normal Rosh Chodesh, you would read 6 on literally the matters of the day, meaning 6 from the current, whatever the Parshat HaShavua is, and then one person, right, there's one aliyah for Rosh Chodesh. But Ha'idna, right now, when Rosh Chodesh Adar is on Shabbat, 3 people would read the current Torah portion, V'arba'a karo b'Rosh Chodesh, and 4 people would read the Rosh Chodesh portion. So it would be still a different way of breaking it up. And there's a lot to be said here about how you can figure this out by the Rishonim, but we'll leave it at that for now. Meitzveh, we have a contradiction from, I believe, the Tosefta. Rosh Chodesh Adar shechal liyot b'Shabbat, korin b'Parshat Shkalim, u'maftirin b'Yehoyada HaKohen. So on Rosh Chodesh Adar, when it falls on Shabbat, we read Parshat Shkalim, and the maftir, or the haftorah, is Yehoyada HaKohen. Bishlam Elaman Zamar Kitisa. So this makes sense according to the opinion that when we talk about Parshat Shkalim, we're talking about Kitisa. Hainu de maftirin b'Yehoyada HaKohen t'damile, because that's why we read. That's why the haftorah is about Yehoyada HaKohen, because literally damile. It's similar to it. Oops, and the Gemara is going to explain what that means. Dichtiv, because it says, I actually don't want this down here. It says, meaning in that haftorah in Malachim Bet, kesef nefashot archo. So it's about giving money, also like a census with money. So it makes sense to say that we're talking about kitisa, because if the haftarah is Yehoyada HaKohen, then you really see the connection. They're both about the half shekel tax. Ela lemanda amar korban yilachmi midami. But if you wanted to say that Parshat Shkalim is actually Tzav Bnei Israel korban yilachmi, is it similar, right? Why then would you pair Yehoyada HaKohen as the haftarah? Dami kiddur tabi. Always our answer now. It's similar because of the position, or as is the position of Rabbi Tavi. In other words, if you think that Tzav Bnei Israel implies that you need a half shekel because you need the half shekels for korbanot, then it's easy to see the connection between Tzav Bnei Israel and the haftarah that talks also about giving the half shekel. Meitzveh, another contradiction. Chalahiyah b'parsha hasmuchala bein milfaneha bein la'achareha korinota v'koflinota. This is all Tanaitic also. So here's the contradictory source. If it falls out, meaning Rosh Chodesh Adar, right, the day when you would read Parshat Shkalim, falls out on the Shabbat whose Torah portion is close to the Shkalim portion, right? So whatever you call Shkalim, right? If what we call Shabbat Shkalim, right, the Shabbat of Parshat Shkalim falls out right next to when you would have anyway read that piece from the Torah, right? It would have come up in the regular Parsha readings. Then, okay, what can you do? You read it and you double it, right? So, I'll take an unrelated example, right? If the special Shabbat meant that you had to read Parshat Breshit, and that fell out the week after Parshat Breshit, so you wind up doubling. 1 week you read Parshat Breshit, and the next week you read Parshat Breshit. So this is the Tanaitic statement, and the Gemara is going to use this to prove its point. Bishlam alamandar mar kitisa. This statement makes sense according to the one who thinks that what we read is kitisa, meaning Shmuel's position, because it falls out during that time, right? Kitisa could potentially, theoretically, kind of come close to Purim, even though it doesn't nowadays. How could that ever fall out at the same time as Purim? So in other words, if you accept, right, having nothing to do with really the information in this statement, but just the fact that it considers the possibility that the reading for Shkalim could come right after or right before the time when you would anyway read that information, it must be Kitisa and not the other. But the Gemara has an answer for this. No, it really could happen. This could happen to the people of the West, meaning the people of Eretz Yisrael, who read on what we would call a triennial cycle. In other words, they read Torah differently. They didn't have a weekly parsha on the same cycle that we do, and they actually finished Torah every 3 years. So for them, it could work out, I haven't done the math on this one, but I trust them, it could work out that Tzav Bnei Israel would be either right before or right after the week when you would read Parshat Shkalim. Tanya Kivatei de Shmuel, we have a Breita that actually supports Shmuel's opinion. Rosh Chodesh Adar Shechali B'Shabbat Korin Kitisa Umaftirin B'Yehoyada HaKohen. Rosh Chodesh Adar, when it falls out on Shabbat, we read Parshat Kitisa, and we have the maftir from Yehoyada HaKohen. Okay, this is not quite the end of sheet 17, but we're going to stop here.